Hey y'all, Dizzobay. Let me start out by saying I'm sorry for the late arrival of today's video. Let me also, secondly, say that I'm also sorry for the fact that I'm using today's video to talk to you about what happened to me today and what I went through today, as opposed to the deeper topics that we've been talking about. This video is all about being here and now, and it's just a great example of just me just doing my best to be here and now, always at all times. And it honestly, it also has a great synchronicity too. So, shout out to Carl Jung on that one. So, today's whole day for me has been dedicated to an issue with said corporation, and y'all know how I feel about corporations. and when it comes to anything stressful in my life, like any stressful event, any stressful anything that's like, especially anything relating to authority or stress or anything like that, I always prefer to deal with females. Always have, always will. Two of my oldest and longest and still current, not just friends, but confidants, literally are two golden girls. Not that they're old, they're younger than me. But they're a set of twins, and they are females, and they've been in my life for almost 20 years. And like I said, they're more than friends, they're confidants. And, my mother, just my family members in general who are female, I've related to easier. Teachers always would rather a female teacher. Don't know why, but just whenever dealing with authority throughout my life or any stressful situation, I'd always rather it be dealt with female energy on the other, as the other person, as opposed to a male on the other. Just me and other men, especially like in authoritative situations or stressful situations. It's not that I'm not compatible with them, it's just that I'm more compatible with a female. So dealing with this corporation, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that there are no females at the... So, I don't know if I said this yet. There are two locations I could have gone to deal with this corporation. One location near to me, and one location further away, in which I dedicated the whole day to. And that's why this video is coming out late and everything. So, the old me, the easier way, the obvious choice would be to just go to the... The old me, the easier choice, the obvious choice, just go to the closer location for the corporation and deal with it there. But there was something that stirred inside of me while I was working. It was like, go to the further away location, make a day out of it. You like the drive, you're more familiar with it, you like the scenery, just go to the further away location. It's something you have to deal with anyways. Just try to make it as pleasant as possible. So ultimately that's what I decided to do. And I think I said it earlier, but I'm pretty sure that there was no females that I know of that work at the location that was near me, so I'm pretty sure that was subconsciously probably the reason why that thought arose inside of me. So I was just kind of hoping and praying that I'd get a female to help me out with this issue while I was there. And as soon as I arrive, I start waiting in line, and I see a female that could potentially help me out, and I'm like, oh good, great, this is gonna go perfect. Exactly what I wanted. And out walks a male who's in charge of the whole place. And he looks at me, and there's another person waiting, but he looks at me and he asked me first for some reason what my issue was, what I was waiting for in line for. And I don't know why he asked me first, because I was the last one in line. But I explained my situation, and mine was, obviously, it was a serious problem. And he looked at the other person, and the other person was just not in any big deal at all. That other person was like, you can help that person out first. And I was like, in my head, I was like, no, I want the female to help me out. And she was cute too, but that wasn't it. Just because I can work with situations like this easier with a female. But I was like, no. But yeah, so I ended up going with him into his office, and honestly, to just cut to the end to the point of it all real quick, we didn't figure out the problem, and I have to go back in the middle of next week, you guys. So I have to have this sit over my head for the whole next week, and I just have to be here now and just deal with it, dude, and it just sucks. That does suck, just to be, but it's what it is, dude. So it doesn't suck any more than what it is, right? So it's just, you just be here now, and it's just the universe throwing a test, dude. It's just what it is. But don't you see? Validate it. It sucks. But dude, it's not. It's whatever. It's just what it is. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, I can't change the fact that I have to go back in the middle of next week. I can't change that. So it's going to sit over my head as much as I allow it to sit over my head. Do you see what I'm saying? So each time I validate that thought, it goes away much quicker and it doesn't come back as much. But yeah, I mean, me talking about it here now, it's going to be sitting on my mind for sure. But check it. This is the interesting part, and this is the synchronicity. So the female was there, but clearly that wasn't the point of this. She wasn't meant to help me. This person was, and he and I had an incredible conversation about the stuff that you and I talk about here. He was very interested in all this stuff. And it all started because it's a corporation and they rule the world and whatever. And so he ended up seeing my license. And he said something to me. I've showed you guys my license pictures before. Go back and look them up. I look like absolute shit, guys, because I am absolutely shit-faced and pissed off at the world getting my driver's license picture taken at the motherfucking DMV. Shit-faced at the DMV getting a picture taken. What a great world we live in. By the way, this is a story for a whole different video, but this is the same body mind that experienced going to a doctor's office to get checked up to get a possible job years ago at the TSA while being incredibly addicted to alcohol and getting a blood pressure reading of 210 over 180 and having the nurse fudge it and allow me to get through that doctor's physical checkup passing it. She fudged my 210 over 180. You guys, what's up about this great country? Just kidding. Anyways, so he sees my driver's license picture and it looks like shit. It's my, like, literally my favorite picture, and for this reason. But then also for the reason, really, it's just because every time I look at it, I'm like, that is such a solid reminder. He asked me, he goes, so do you ever grow the beard out? Because I have like a goatee, like, beard thing. And I go, typically no. So I said, that's a picture of me being incredibly lazy. And I was like, well, the story's very personal, but I love telling it. So he was already being nice to me anyway. So, and we had, exchanged a few nice things. So I told him my story. And I was like, because, I'll talk about this shit with anybody. And I was like, well, that was me being absolutely shit-faced and pissed off at the world at the DMV. And he's like, no way. I couldn't tell. I was like, yeah, dude, I was a fucking master, dude, at drinking. A literal master. Dude, I had that nurse feeling bad for me, dude. Yes, I was a pro at drinking. I could have been hired to keep up with, like, back in the 60s, there was a famous rock and roller. His name was Jim Morrison, and he literally had to have professional drinkers be hired to keep up with him because he drank that much. And they could do that, but nobody could keep up with him and the drugs. And I actually don't even know if they could keep up with him drinking, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. But, I could have had a chance because I was that good at drinking. But yeah, we get talking, and I honestly can't remember if I already mentioned it in this video or not, because this is take 2, but I ended up saying to him, what I learned was about being here now. That's what life's about. And I told him that. What I also learned, I told him I had to go to rehab and all sorts of stuff. So I told him, what I learned was being here now. And what I also learned was the serenity prayer. And I said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And he apparently, like, was a Christian and stuff, and that, like, hit home for him. And I don't know how, like, deep into Christianity he was, but this person, like, he liked Jesus a lot. He kept talking about Jesus, and he said he was reading the Bible, and he was, like, at, like, reading the book of Ezekiel, and honestly, I haven't read the entire Bible yet. It's one of the few books that I'm reading right now. I say few because I do audiobooks, so it's the Bible, The World as Will as Representation, and honestly, for later on video, I'll tell you the other book I'm reading. Um, I don't want, whatever. I don't want this video to get, you know, banned or whatever. But you guys, I'm reading the Talmud too, and that is I'm not talking crap about that religion, about Judaism, but there's some pretty insane shit in the Talmud that, I'm gonna have to see for myself, which I've already seen for myself. I just need to get it in the full context. So that's enough to be said about that. If you're interested, you can do your own research. I'll eventually talk about it some video down the line. But yeah, the Bible, the Talmud, and The World as Will as Representation. Those are the 3 books that I'm listening to on audiobook whenever I listen to a book in my headphones. So the Bible's one of them, and Ezekiel isn't one I've gotten to yet. But I just thought it was so cool because, I grew to love Jesus too, and this person grew to love Jesus too, like throughout his life. So there we are, just like talking about like spirituality and like Jesus, and I was bringing up non-duality, teaching, I'm teaching, but just explaining it to him a little bit. It was just so cool, and it was just like such an amazing synchronicity because remember that like random thought that just like appeared to me, and it was like, go here, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go there to make a day out of it. And dude, it was so worth it. I didn't get to fix the problem with the corporation. I have to go back in the middle of next week. Again, this is take 2. I can't remember if I already said that, so, that's annoying, but just be here now. But the real takeaway of today was the fact that, someone and myself had a great, meaningful, 2 strangers had a great, meaningful, deep conversation about life and what matters and Jesus and spirituality and, just the connection of humans. Like, how cool is that? Oh, and he asked for the little triangle that I was explaining, so I drew out on a piece of paper for him the little triangle that I used, the philosophy, psychology, and physics, that boom, boom. So, dude, I thought that was just so cool, and he thought that was cool, too. I was like, yeah. Because, we were talking about, some crazy stuff, but I was like, this is how I stay grounded, because whenever we talk about Buddhism or Advaita Vedanta or just anything that can be perceived as, woohoo or frou-frou or anything like that in a modern day, and just for someone like me who's an addict and, lets the mind go crazy, it's just always good for people like me to stay grounded, and it's always good for anybody to stay grounded, really, too. So by doing that with a modern framework of philosophy, physics, and psychology, can't really go wrong. Dude, this total stranger apparently thought so too. So guys, my whole day is essentially shot. The problem still isn't solved. Videos coming out late. Yeah, and when I have to go back, I have to go back to the far location again. But you guys, all I can do is just be here now. This is the situation with the corporation will fix itself out when it fixes itself out, and it won't when it won't. Which means between now and the middle of next week, it's not gonna fix itself out. So there's no point in me being upset about it. So this is just another great test from the universe for me to know that there's a whole week planned out for me by the universe that this is gonna hang over my head. Now, how am I gonna deal with that? By not being bothered by it as best as I can. While I'm doing that, I'm going to follow the advice that I say every day here. So hopefully I can follow my own advice. And, let us all follow our own hearts, listen to our own guts, have our own open minds, and carry our own moral compasses. Let us #BeLoveNow. Peace.